The biggest mistake we can make is when we let recoverables sort of fall into our overheads. And that's what I was doing. And if you have to sort of try and make a clear distinction between the two. What's an recoverable expense and what's an overhead? In order to do this, you really have to have procedures in place to recover project expenses routinely on fee invoices. And routinely is the big thing here. It's nothing for your clients if they're seeing routine charges of $30, $40, $50, $100 going through every month. Rather that than you saving them up to the end of a project, and then you're looking at them going, I've got $3,000. I can't bill for that. Okay, I'll just charge them one. You know, just do little and often. I tend to find, and then you tend to be more truthful and tend to charge the correct amounts. And the biggest thing I learned about tracking all this was that the impact on the bottom line can be a lot bigger than you think. If I'd blissfully gone along with my 7,300 and hadn't known, I didn't even know the recoverables were that much. But if you look at that spread over like 5 years, that's almost $37,000. I suddenly don't feel that cheap charging my clients for shipping and handling and parking, where I did previously. Okay, moving on. Number 2. Okay, record all the time you spend in your business. We have to be able to track our time so that we can locate opportunities to improve. I was always very good at tracking my billable time, and what I mean by this was the time that I fully intended on billing the client for, not the countless hours that I was spending working for free. And I don't know why. I think I was partly in denial, because it's far easier not to see the harsh reality in front of you of exactly how you're spending your time. I don't know if that was it, but I used to look at myself at the end of the month, and I'd look at how much I was invoicing my clients, and I'd look at me and think, okay, those dark circles didn't get there from just working 20 hours this month. And so I started to think, okay, like, you have to start tracking this. So I decided to say, okay, without any judgment, for goodness sake, just log down what it is you're doing in a day. If it's non-billable, if you're tweeting, if you're blogging, if you're looking at Pinterest, whatever it is you're doing, for goodness sake, just write it down. Because unless you jot it down, you can't analyze it, and you have no idea what it is you're doing. Now, what I find to be most helpful with this was to actually have task codes. I'm never going to go back through and read really all the sort of long descriptions that I put in my client invoices. But what I am probably going to look at is if I have task codes that enable me to sort my data by task code, and then I can clearly see what I'm doing and what my assistant's doing during their day. So in our office, we have meetings and correspondence, we have planning and design, we have sourcing, we have admin, we have site meetings, travel time, we have non-chargeable, and then we have company business. The 2 points I always want to look at, or the 2 sort of sections I always want to look at every month, are what's non-chargeable and what am I spending on company business. One of these is sort of a good positive thing, one of these not so positive. Company business to me is a good thing. Today, I'm spending 8 hours at Business of Design. That is company business. That I need to log in my timesheet. So when I'm reviewing my fee invoices towards the end of the month, I can go, oh yeah, I had 2 days. I had 16 hours when I was at a seminar. So that's why maybe my fees this month look a little less. I was at the Interior Design Show. It's all positive things. It's all about professional development. But if you don't track it, you'll forget where you've been and what you've been doing. Non-chargeable time is also things that I want to look at. The only things I want to see non-chargeable are areas where I know I've made a mistake. So if I've made a mess with a vendor, or if I know something's taking me far longer than I should have done, if I've had a really sort of slow head day, then I'll acknowledge that with myself, and I'll put that in non-chargeable so I can see what's happening. What can become really, really apparent or very, very clear to you is exactly where you are spending your time. By doing this, I was able to look at my non-chargeable line and see in my business where my areas of weakness were. One was with vendors. I was babysitting my vendors way too much. I was sort of becoming one of those helicopter parents, because I didn't really sort of trust them. And I think it probably came down to the fact that I hadn't probably given them all the right information up front. And so they were calling me, I was calling them. There was a whole pile of stuff going on. And it was stuff, in fairness, I couldn't invoice my client for. I can't invoice my clients because I'm neurotic and I'm having to chase up on people 100 times. It wasn't until I saw this in black and white and saw exactly how I was spending my day that I knew, okay, I have to make change. Either I have to make the way I communicate with my vendors more clear, or I just have to find new vendors. It becomes really, really simple. In Design Docs, we record our time. It's very similar in the way we record our expenses. So we have the date, we have the duration, we assign it to a project, we pop in our task code, and then we put in our full description. As soon as we hit save, that immediately goes on to our time entry listing page. Now, what I love about this, and this you can certainly do in Excel, is this totals per day, how many billable hours you have per day. Just having that lump sum alone can really just keep you on track. It sounds so simple, but I never used to do that. And so I used to always just have this sort of rolling total. But there's nothing like going, hang on a minute, I've only got 3 hours in for yesterday, and I was there for 8 hours. Okay, I've seriously missed something. A clear visual of what it is you're doing will really, really help keep you on track. And what's also fabulous is once you've put it on your little punch card, you've seen it on your time entry listing sheet. We've also got this pie chart, which for me is just a really easy snapshot of, okay, what am I doing, and what projects am I spending it on? You know, that alone, I think, is really, really helpful, because if you don't have this, and again, if you can't see where your time's going, it's very hard to make change. Oops, I'm running ahead of myself here. So in summary, we have to sort of organize the whole process of tracking our time. We need to use task codes that make sense for your business, and track all your time, because if you don't track all your time, it's impossible to locate opportunities to improve on what you're doing. Number 3, sorry, is to always provide clients with a project financial summary. This was a key thing I found sort of 4 or 5 years ago. This document is at the core of Design Docs. We used to build this on Excel. And I had a client come to me sort of 3 or 4 years ago. She was a chartered accountant. I'd started work for her in her living room. We'd started off there. She then really liked what we were doing. It progressed to her dining room. A month later, we were also doing the powder room, and 3 weeks later, we were working in the kitchen. There had been multiple proposals, multiple deposit invoices. You know, she'd always had paperwork to go with everything. But she called me up one day and said, "Gillian, I'm just, you know, I know you've given me all this independent documentation, but I'm sure you must produce for your clients a summary that will show them how much money they've given you, where it's gone, and how much money I owe you in total." And I was like, yeah, okay, yep, I do that for my clients, yep, fine. I'm thinking bye-bye weekend, but yeah, okay, we can do this. So of course I go home and I'm thinking, I don't know how to do this. And lo and behold, within like 5 minutes, Mr. Excel guru over there has worked something out for me. Now, this is a very simple template. We've just got 2 items here. But this is, to me, what a project financial summary is. Now, in my contract, I say to clients, every time I request money that refers to an item, which refers first to product, they will receive a project financial summary. This shows them at all times the total value of their job. So if they've added things along the way, if they've taken things away, nobody gets to the end of the job and says, how did we get here? There are no surprises for anyone. If the job's tripled or quadrupled in size, they've known every step along the way, because this document forces them to acknowledge it. It organizes things in a way that makes it very, very easy for them to see where we are. I can see at a glance that far right-hand column that says previously invoiced, still owing. It lets me see, okay, is this person up to date with their payment? It keeps everybody on track. And I know for a fact, I love this thing so much. I show clients this when they interview me, and I know I get hired because I can show them a spreadsheet. We all have beautiful portfolios. Our clients can all hire us for our taste, but I know when I go and I interview with clients, if they can see I have their financial house in order, and that I can show that I understand that this can be a stressful part of the job, let alone we're coming in, we're ripping out walls, we're demolishing things. But if I can show to them that not only do I acknowledge that there's going to be costs, but I can also show how we're going to track it, they immediately are just like, okay, great, she's got it. Because most of us don't do this. So in summary, what I found is if you can produce this document all the time, it really prevents you from being caught off guard, and it also really instills confidence with your clients.